Rotorua, North Island, New Zealand. Medics rushed to the aid of an injured British mountain biker who's crash-landed at a competition.
It was a horrible sight, and I could see that he's probably done a serious injury.
Former Royal Marine Ben Deakin is a Dorset lad with a competitive spirit for adventure and a love of the great outdoors. He lives out his passions on a bike.
As soon as I put my helmet on, put my goggles on, I'm in my own little bubble, and I just need to try and be that fastest bloke down that hill that day.
His love for life on two wheels began at an early age.
I started going around the country with my mum, going to a couple of little races, and it's almost like the travelling circus where you meet your new friends, you end up riding different venues, and you just get the love for it.
But a career in the sport seemed a distant dream. So when he left school, he joined the armed forces instead.
I realised that I didn't want to go into an office, and then that's when I went into the Royal Marines to complete one of the hardest basic military training regimes in the world.
Ben underwent months of tough training before passing out as a Royal Marine Commando. Numerous tours of duty followed, including Afghanistan, where his career was cut short.
So this thing here is what the guys call the golden bullet. So this is the actual bullet that I got hit with. So it went through a mate's legs and then into my ankle. So this is obviously what they got actually from my ankle.
Ben was given a medical discharge, but was determined to stay positive.
I thought, well, let's make the best of the situation, and I'd have a gap year and ride my mountain bike with some of my mates who just so happened to be some of the best riders in the world.
He had the support of his partner, Macmillan nurse Ness, despite her preference for more sedate biking.
She definitely doesn't cycle with me. She occasionally rides an electric bike sort of on the seafront or something, but as far as actual mountain biking, it's certainly something that doesn't appeal to her.
After 10 years, he still has her backing, but with limitations.
Some people would say having a nurse as another half has its bonuses, but I can very much say it doesn't. She doesn't give me any sympathy, and it's the equivalent of having my Sergeant Major living with me, to be honest.
Ben spent his gap year riding trails in Canada with his mates and began posting fun videos of his exploits. To his surprise, he developed a following.
Here we are, let's go and do laps with the boys.
I've always ridden my bike, but not at a level where, you know, I could pay for my mortgage by riding a push bike. All of a sudden, this has become available to me. Companies are realising, actually, you know, you don't need to be the fastest guy in the world. However, if you go out and have fun with your friends, it's very much relatable, and it sells bikes, it sells products.
His success as a social media star in the mountain biking world grew even more when Ben started competing on the professional circuit, earning himself the nickname the Deakinator. One of his best pals on the circuit is competitor Sam Reynolds.
Yes! Yes!
Deeks is definitely a man of the people. Everywhere you go, he's got his catchphrase, which is oi oi, that gets shouted at him. He's got a big online following, and yeah, I think a lot of people relate with him. He's a good rider in his own right, but I think his personality is larger than life, that's for sure.
Ben is now a full-time professional biker, content creator, and brand ambassador. He's won numerous events around the world, and even more fans.
Oi, oi, oi!
I think his approach is not take it too seriously, give it a go, and then see what happens, which is, yeah, has worked out well for him sometimes and not so well other times.
And at what was meant to be a fun bike meeting on the other side of the world, things didn't work out so well when Ben came crashing down to earth. It's a beautiful day in Rotorua on the North Island of New Zealand. Ben and his biking pals are on a 2-week holiday, which for them also means getting involved in the local biking scene. They decided to take part in a well-attended local fun competition.
There's a lot of crowd participation, there's loads of noise. It is just a really fun event to watch.
It's known as a whip-off, a test of courage and strength. Sam and Ben have both signed up.
The whip is where you turn the bike in the air as sideways as you can, sometimes even past sideways, and then you have to bring it back straight again to ride away, obviously, and people sort of cheer for it, and the judges judge who got the sort of most backwards whip. It's quite like a fun event. It's not too serious, but definitely can be one of those ones that can bite you.
And today's is a challenging course.
I guess what made it sort of quite scary was the fact that none of us were allowed to practice it until the whip-off event started. So all of a sudden you've got all these spectators, and when I say all these spectators, there's probably a few thousand, quite easy. So the nerves are there because you haven't even hit this jump.
You never really know the speed to go, and that's kind of the biggest thing you can get wrong with these big mountain bike jumps, if you go too short or too far, because either of those can end up being pretty bad.
Ben is mainly a downhill racer, used to speed, tight bends and fast jumps. A whip-off needs a different skill set, but he's undeterred.
I guess after you've been on a battlefield, there's not really that many risks after that when you think about being on a push bike.
The pair head over for a closer look at the jump, and Ben films for his followers.
With this particular whip-off jump, there was almost like a setup drop. So the drop itself, if you stood underneath it, you were probably looking at a good 15 to 20 foot drop before making it onto this landing ramp.
I just thought I'd show you guys the old landing.
The idea is you land on the landing ramp, it carries your speed through to this next jump, which is round about 40 to 50 foot.
Ben lines up for his turn. He's filming with his helmet camera as he sets off down the ramp.
I think as soon as I left the takeoff, it was that instant feeling of going, oh no.
He went way too fast into the jump, and that's where it started to go wrong.
Knowing that it's gone wrong before you even sort of in halfway through the air, there's not really too much you can do about this.
It was a bit of a heart and mouth moment.
And I didn't really make any of the landing ramp because I overshot it, so this ended up with me literally just buckling when I landed.
There's no way anyone could hold on to that, and he crumpled into the bike from the impact.
Ben's camera captures the moment he's catapulted from his bike at speed, then rolls over and over and over down the slope.
It was almost a case of sky ground,
eventually coming to a stop in a heap.
Straight away I've got medics on me saying stay down, stay down, stay down.
It was a horrible sight, and I could see that he's probably done a serious injury.
Friends film as the medics reach Ben's side.
You alright, Diggs?
Mate, I just went a bit...
You didn't knock yourself out, I can't believe it. You hit your head pretty hard.
Luckily, the medics were there straight away. They did a real good job and were checking him over, making sure he doesn't get up too quickly.
His head and shoulder took the brunt of the fall, and medics are worried.
Biggest concern really was had I done anything to my neck or my spine. So, you know, I've got one doctor behind me who's just holding onto my head just to make sure.
Ben's friends try to make light of the crash to alleviate his fears.
Oh dear, Diggs. A little bit tasty. Didn't fancy the landing, eh, mate?
But on the ground, surrounded by medics and safety team members, Ben is beginning to wonder if this is one crash he might not walk away from.
The adrenaline wore off, and then it was like, oh dear, I can hardly move. You know, I could really feel my shoulder giving me spasms, and that's when it was like, right, I think it's certainly more serious than I first thought.
I think he could tell that he was probably going to take a little trip to hospital, which is always, it was never a nice feeling, and for our friends as well. We're gutted for him.
On-course medics decide Ben's spine has survived the crash, but his shoulder hasn't. They insist on a trip to hospital. His friends drive him there.
I had doctors looking at me over, and straight away they looked at the X-ray and said, "Yep, you've done your scapula. It looks pretty bad." And then the thumb, you know, straight away they could see that it was dislocated and broken. So, you know, straight away they said, "Sorry, you're not going back with your friend. You're going to have to stay the night here because I think you need to be stabilised just in case anything were to happen," because I'd hit my head as well.
Ben spends 2 days and 2 nights in hospital. On day 2, he calls partner Ness back home in the UK.
The first reply was, "Is this a joke?" and then that was it. And then I sent her the video, and then it was like, right, I believe you now.
Ben updates his followers as he leaves hospital.
Obviously broken shoulder, broken arm, all the rest of it.
Back home, Ben needed weeks of intensive physiotherapy in a bid to get back on his bike and compete.
It's one of those demons that you just need to tick off, you know, the old saying, get back on the horse. Well, that's exactly what I had to do.
And all with one aim in mind, to get back to New Zealand.
How about this for sorting out jet lag?
And conquer the jump that beat him.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Tonight is redemption.
And eventually, he does.
The adrenaline just going into that, knowing that I've done bigger jumps. It's just the fact that this so-called jump had given me literally all this problem beforehand.
Yeah, Deeks is definitely a person that would never leave it at that. So yeah, we all knew that once he'd done that crash and had his injury, that he'd definitely want to go back and try it again.
This time round, he nails it.
Steve, thanks man.
I was so over the moon when I hit it.
You jump it?
Yeah. I'm stoked that I got over it and didn't die, so in my eyes I won there, yeah.
But Ness was less than impressed.
I think I didn't even phone her, I just sent her a video of me doing it, and all I probably got was, "You idiot." So yeah, there we go.